So I'm Becky and I'm the oldest.
I'm Rachel and I'm the middle.
And I'm Jessie and I'm the youngest.
And we are identical triplets.
You stay, I go, we fight, I don't know.
Always wanted to do something in entertainment. Like, it was quite funny actually. My original dream was to be a trainer on The Biggest Loser, but now that I look back, I wanted to be on The Biggest Loser as like something to do with entertainment. Like, I don't think that it was ever that I wanted to be a PT. It's the fact that the show fascinated me. As kids, like, we'd always ask Mum to get us into commercials and stuff like that because we used to be obsessed with the Saddle Club as kids. So that we were like, we'd love to be on a show like that. That'd be so much fun. But growing up in the territory, like, you do musicals at school and that type of stuff, which we really loved. But there's no platform for it. So it was always kind of the term a made-up job, like it doesn't exist. So we were like, okay, sports it is. And then it wasn't until we moved to Brisbane that we were kind of like, why don't we just do some classes? If we like it, great. If we don't, don't. So we booked into some beginner classes and we just loved it ever since then. I did a commercial at my old fitness centre, which was really fun. So we got to be in that, which was really, really fun. But it's just trying to work towards, like, ideally I would love to be on Home and Away. That's always been like my goal as a kid. I've watched the show from a really young age, but I'd love to branch out into the American market and do TV shows, movies, anything really that gets you on set. So I did the full-time course at TAFTA in Sydney, which caused me to relocate to Sydney. So we did so many different components to that course. There was voice, movement, RP, which is British accent, American accent, emotions, like there's so much to it. So that really helped us to get like a broad range of skill sets. So I probably first discovered that I loved it. I always wanted to do it as a child, like always. I remember being, maybe 7 years old and I would say to Mum, can I do acting classes? But it just wasn't something she really encouraged. So she'd always just sort of say, like, let's just go, let's just not worry about it. Like, it's very competitive, there won't be a place for you, like those types of things. So she was very dead against it. So I probably just, probably back when I was about 7, but then didn't really act on actually doing classes and things like that until I was about maybe 18. And I did some classes in Brisbane, and then not until I got to TAFTA that I really went full time with it. The big goal for me would definitely be I'd like to be over in the States permanently. Whether I can work full time as an actor, that's the main overall goal. Telling a story about something I really believe in, doing it full time I think would be unreal. I think the biggest thing is that you get a lot of criticism when you're on camera, like even in classes. It sort of really opens up the floor for them to pick apart you or, say like, I really don't like how your hair is for that, all that type of stuff. So I think a thing we always try to do is we just go, it's just life, like it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Just trying to keep that positive outlook and just sort of saying, we're doing the best we can in the circumstances. So just being very encouraging in the sense, like saying, what you're doing is enough. Don't be too hard on yourself, it's only life. Generally, we would see people singing on TV and would always see them in competitions, and so what we would do is little like talent shows at our house, and Rachel and Becky would generally love to do them as well, but what we kind of discovered quite early is that they couldn't sing. So when I sang, they said it, like they thought it sounded really nice. So I sort of, over the years, I found that because I wasn't good at school, like maths and things like that, that I loved things like the arts and performing and singing and music. So I suppose really young, I really always just grew a really big love for it after watching people like Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston and Celine Dion. Well, I used to watch a lot of like The Voice and The X Factor, and it was sort of when I got to about 17 that I knew that I sort of had to create a bit of a plan in terms of how to get there and the things to do along the way. So I would say I sort of started doing it professionally when I was about 18. So I got myself a guitarist, I started doing singing lessons weekly and also guitar lessons, and that's when I also started playing at cafes and bars and gigs and also going in competitions and things like that. My biggest achievement would definitely be my last original EP that I released. So it was my first EP to ever write and record. A big reason why it was so special to me was because it was recorded in Los Angeles. So I was able to travel to there for 2 weeks to record 5 days in the studio, and the writing process was done about 6 months beforehand. So that was really exciting. I got to work with a producer called Shannon MacArthur who helped me write and record it, and it was a really fun process, something I'd always envisioned doing as a child.
You always have a friend.
Yeah, that's really good.
You're never bored. That's probably one of the biggest positives of being a triplet. I think
You never get sick of them.
clothes.
Which is really good. Clothes as well.
Yeah, that's true. Constant encouragement from someone.
Comparison.
People stand us in a line, they're like, great, that's the fat one, that's the skinny one, that's the ugly one.
Yeah.
No joke, that's what happens. Like, that's probably the biggest negative to being a triplet is you're constantly compared.